Welcome to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. Killian, Coriander, here we go. Monster Fridays. We're back with some more Predator antics, talking about AVP, Alien versus Predator.
Yeah.
This is where it's gonna get interesting, for sure. Uh,
Right.
so exactly, right. So we've talked about obviously the great Predator and also Predator 2. And now we're getting into the AVPs, starting with the first one, Alien versus Predator. Real quick, just to get an idea on what you think of this movie, a quick take. I'll start with you, Coriander, and then I'll go to you, Killian. Give me a quick take of what you think of this movie that finally joined two of cinema's greatest monsters.
I can say it has its good moments and it has its bad moments.
Okay, all right. How about you, Kill?
I actually do like this movie, but I feel that this was a great beginning, stepping stone, and it had
Mm-hmm.
plenty of room to improve from here. So I guess
Absolutely.
that's what I'll say for now.
Absolutely. And before I give my thoughts, let me just see what we got going on in the chat. QN is back with us saying, no matter who wins, we lose. So go get him, Night Watch, while I run for the hills. Right. And we've got Eric. Eric's in the chat saying, okay, here we go. Bring the hate. I seem to say that a lot here, don't I? Eric, you are just a champion for a lot of movies that, just, yeah,
That
man.
bring the hate.
But you also know your stuff, and you also do enjoy
Yeah.
a lot of great movies that we enjoy too. So it's fun, man. It's fun. I'll jump in and say just real quick before we start proper. I don't hate this movie either, and it's interesting because before we talked about this movie, and we obviously had touched upon this on the old channel, but before we did that, it definitely wasn't one of my favorite ones in either franchise, the Predator franchise or the Alien franchise.
Oh,
And when we tackled it, I actually said to myself, man, this isn't that bad. I mean, I didn't hate it when I first saw it in the theater. I saw this in the theater. I didn't hate it then either, but I did feel like there were just some missteps. You know what I'm saying? Some things that I don't know, and maybe once we go through this conversation between the three of us, as well as with you guys in the chat, maybe we can define that a little bit better. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, so for you guys in the chat, for you guys watching the replay, sit back, relax. All right. Okay, Kill. As usual, let's get down to brass tacks, and I'm just gonna check the chat and then let you start this thing off. Let's see. QN was saying, I liked it, and that's all I can say. I hear you, man. I hear you. Biffer's in the chat saying, hey, gang, what's going on?
Hey.
What's going on, Biffer? Nice to see you. Eric saying, all in good fun, guys. No, we know.
Exactly.
We know. It's fun to talk about this type of stuff, too. These are some of my favorite
Right?
episodes, man. Biffer says, AVP was like the Super Bowl, but ended up like the Puppy Bowl.
That's funny.
Yeah, that's good. Eric said we did a Lance Henriksen episode of the podcast. I'm not sure if Knight was in the chat or if it was before his time, but I did my best to defend AVP. No, I didn't see that one, man. No, like I said, this was not a bad movie by any stretch of the imagination. So let's get deeper into that and figure out what it did right and what maybe it didn't do so right, Kill.
Okay. Well, I mean, one thing for me, and I know I might sound like a broken record because I say this all the time, they were smart to make it a bottleneck film. To me,
Yes.
horror or horror sci-fi is always scarier when you can't leave. You're stuck there.
Mhm.
And essentially, the characters in here, they're your standard fare. You have scientists, engineers, army types,
Mhm.
a Sigourney Weaver kind of allegory with Sanaa Lathan. She's a very take charge, smart, intelligent character. Love her.
Mhm.
Um, so you have all the proper things in here. I mean, you even have Lance Hendrickson, as Charles Bishop Whalen. So they're catering to us. They're catering to the fans of the lore. They're
Right.
catering to the fans of the movie. And for me, the special effects were, great. The standard fare for the Alien movies of the time. And the only misstep I would say is some of the backstory of, well, there's just there's just an alien queen at the bottom of the pyramid. She's just there. She's been there for a couple hundred years. We thaw her out. She makes some eggs, and then we put her back to sleep. So there's just an alien queen on Earth just chilling, under the ice. So I mean, there are little things that you can nitpick, but and this is the last thing I'll say. As far as their first outing of trying to do a versus movie, because it's really hard to do these versus movies, whether it's Godzilla, King Kong, Freddy and Jason. I mean, it's very hard. But for a first outing, I thought they had the proper balance of seeing the aliens fight the predators and having, I guess, the human interaction in there. Yeah. So
yeah. All right. How about you, Coriander? What did you think of when the story first starts and we meet Alexa, played by Sanaa Lathan? What did you think of how she was portrayed, and then meeting the rest of the cast and all that type of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, like Killian said, she's smart. She knows what she's doing, and the whole crew, if you want to say, feels safer with her being there than a second person who's under her, because she did want to leave. But yeah, and before I even continue on, like you guys, I didn't hate this movie, but yeah, it just had parts where it was like, exactly how did this queen alien get there, which I do have to say, to me, is like the best looking queen alien in these movies, because I thought she looked great. I thought the effects in this were awesome. The set design, I mean, everything was great. But yeah, just little pieces here and there. Like the cast, they didn't get deep into like any character development, so I didn't really, except for the dude who was in Train Spotting. I kind of cared what happened to him because I'd seen him before. So yeah, it wasn't bad.
Yeah. Real quick in the chat, just to catch up, Slasher Fred's in the chat saying Lance Henriksen seemed to have appeared a lot in Alien films. He was in the 70s Alien classic Close Encounters. Yes, he was. He sure was. Q1 was saying the biggest misstep was taking out half the cast before it got to the action. I understand the face huggers, but damn, just damn. Yeah, I think that
was a cool scene, though.
It was a cool scene, because just you're sitting there just waiting for it to happen, basically, But I will say that the cast, and I think I said this to you, Coriander, I think the beginning, the setup was actually pretty good, because I was invested in the beginning. And honestly, like you were saying, Sanaa Lathan was very captivating, and the fact that she didn't want to go and ultimately decided to go because she knew, like your boy Raul Bova, who played Sebastian, he asked her, he says, do we stand a better chance of surviving if you go with us? You know what I mean? And she knew that the answer was yes. So she went basically to hopefully keep these people alive, which was a cool thing. So I was really invested, and once they get to the site, it looks cool. Like you were saying, Coriander, the set design was really good and everything was set up pretty good. But then once we get kind of into some of the story, I agree with you, Kill. The whole idea of the alien queen there, there's half of me that bought into it, and then the other half of me was kind of like, well, I don't know. Now, that being said, you guys have said this, so I'm going to say my piece too. Doing a versus movie is so damn difficult, and we talked a little bit about this when we talked about Freddy versus Jason. You're bringing two characters, two different mythologies together. And I'm gonna be honest, a lot of these movies that have been done, it's a miracle that they get done and make any damn sense whatsoever. With this movie, you know, there was a lot of backstory to it. Paul W.S. Anderson had been working on a story for years, and a lot of people were trying to crack this story, and they couldn't. Now, originally, Fox was thinking about doing a fifth Alien movie, and you had the legendary Ridley Scott and the equally legendary James Cameron. They were working together on the story, okay? And Ridley, you know Ridley. Ridley was like, "Look, man, we got to make sure we get the script right." And he said that he thought a good idea for the story would be to find out where the aliens came from, how they came to be, which, interestingly enough, became the basis for Prometheus years and years later. But anyways, they were working on this, and when James Cameron heard that Fox intended to pursue the idea of Alien versus Predator, he said, "I'm done. I'm not going to do this," because he thought that it would totally take away the validity of the franchise. So just so many things in the background happening. I mean, they wanted to really tax into the popularity of the comic, which I think came out in like 1989, I believe. So a lot of interesting back stuff. But and Kill, I'll get to you in a second. I just want to catch up with these guys, and then I'll let you jump in on that stuff. Eric was saying, we get an alien queen running around like a T-Rex by the end. Cool to see what it could do when fully mobile. Good point. That was actually pretty cool. I agree. I absolutely agree. The Godfather of Cinema is in the chat. What's going on, man? What's going on? He's saying, I agree with Coriander. The effects in that one were among some of the best. Enjoyed Sana Lathan in that one. Absolutely. She was good. She was a very good lead character. He also says, people can say what they want, but Paul W.S. Anderson's films are fun to watch, and that's why I love this version of Alien vs. Predator. Yeah, I mean, he's made a lot of money in the theaters. That's for sure. His movies have made a lot of money. And Eric was agreeing that he loves a lot of Paul W.S. Anderson movies too. And it's funny because he had just finished Resident Evil Apocalypse and then started to work on this. So he definitely was working hard. But what about you, Kill? Once they come upon the pyramid, what were your thoughts as they start to get down into everything in the story?
Well, it's funny, and please, guys in the chat, let us know. If you don't like this movie, list some of the reasons, because I feel everything in this movie is explained, in one way or another. Now, whether you buy into it, that is another question. And kind of talking about the cast getting kind of aced out pretty quick, that had to happen because we need to make aliens, in the sacrificial chamber. So, and I feel as far as the character building in this, I mean, of course, the first Alien movie and Aliens, we have great character building. Alien 3, the character building kind of drops a little bit because, okay, you're all just criminals. Okay, it is what it is. So I feel that the character building in this is kind of on par with Alien 3, where you get a feeling of the people, but you don't get that great character building you got in the first two movies. And we don't really need it because I'm not here for the humans. I am here for aliens fighting predators. Like King Kong versus Godzilla, I'm there for those guys. Freddy versus Jason, I'm there for those guys. So I feel sometimes we like to have our cake and eat it too. Well, I don't want to see a bunch of humans, but oh wait, I want to know more about the humans that are there, and it's like bouncing.
Right.
And I feel that I agree with one thing that was just said. This is a fun movie. It is fun, and pretty much it for me. It really pops off when they go down to the pyramid, and I mean. Yeah. They even have a reason for how they're able to get down there that quick. Oh, there's already a tunnel. We're going to go down there and we're going to get aced out because this is a horror movie. We're going to die, and we're going to follow a final girl. Sanaya Lathan, you're a good final girl. You really are. And essentially we're going to, get more lore, whether we believe it or not, or like it or not, about the aliens and how the predators came here and they said, hey, you humans would make good hosts for these things that we like to hunt. We're universal hunters across the universe. We're going to do that
Mhm.
here. And oh, we're going to teach you how to build pyramids in different parts of the world, which I liked that part because
Yeah, I did too.
pyramids, I'm on to you. We're still going to figure out how you guys were built. You were built so perfectly in different parts of the world, and you
Yep.
have similar things. And thank you, Predators, for teaching us how to build the pyramids. So, I mean, so it's like, this movie, it has great special effects. The lore is hit or miss. And the cast, I mean, we have a lot of character actors that you've seen here before, you know. And Sanaa Lathan, I felt, was a really strong protagonist that we got to follow.
Mhm. Yeah.
So it just really, to me, kind of pops off once they're in the once they're in the pyramid and they pick up the Predator's weapons.
I
Like,
was just about to say, yep.
just one last thing I'm just gonna say, and I'm sorry, and that's my boy from the first Resident Evil movie.
Yeah, I knew you were gonna say him. I
If
knew it.
Sanaa Lathan or whoever, I can't remember who said it, says, "Hey, don't touch those," and you haven't touched them, and you look that person in the windows of their soul, in their eyes, and you still
Yeah.
pick it up, you deserve to die. Because he looked at that person for a good 2
Yeah.
seconds, like,
Yeah. Yeah,
I'm
it
sorry,
was it was Sebastian that said it to him because he's like, "Don't pick it up." And your boy, he was Colin Salmon, who plays Maxwell, him right here. He kind of looked at him and then went "Whoom," like that and picked up the weapon. I was like, and you remember Coriander? I was like, "Come on," because it's like, come on now. Now I don't know. Maybe they did it that way just to get the reaction from the audience like that, but it definitely was not a smart moment. You know what I'm saying?
no.
But yeah,
Plot device,
but,
plot device. We got to keep the story going. So okay.
yeah. But Coriander, what were you thinking at that point? Because they pick up the weapons, and all of a sudden, and I thought this was cool. The pyramid does all the shifting of the rooms and all these trap doors and rooms. What do you think about all of that?
Yeah, it reminded me of, the Lost Ark. You move this and you unlock something else. And I thought
Yeah.
it was pretty cool how it all shifted and they all ended up getting separated. And yeah, I mean, some made it and some didn't, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And once they started to kind of search through the pyramid, what was your thought on that? Because I thought that was a cool thing to me too, because now you've got this huge pyramid,
hmm
all these rooms that are shifting, and you don't know what to expect. And I thought that was actually a nice little part of it. What'd you think?
Yeah, I agree, and like Killian was saying, like with the whole backstory on like how they explain about, throughout the pyramid, you could see like in ruins how they had stuff on the walls. I thought that was pretty cool. How you could see
Yes.
certain them fighting and like the history that was there, and yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that, again, you're trying to balance so many things with these two super monsters and also with your characters. And it's very difficult to do that. But I must admit, the setup for this movie was really good. And the area, the environment that they're in, I thought was a very good
Yeah.
environment because it's
And the
dark.
lighting. Yeah, well, and
Yeah.
that's the whole thing. It's dark, but actually, like when
Mhm.
they're fighting and stuff, you can actually see these monsters, and they look really
Yes.
Yeah.
good. And they're fighting, and it looks great. I mean, it's not
Yeah.
moments where it's too dark, where you couldn't really tell what was happening. I mean, I thought that was
Right.
great that they actually had this kind of it's a dark movie, but it was light enough where, yeah, you could see what was going on.
Hmm.
Yes, I agree. That's an excellent point. The creatures did look very good. The special effects were pretty damn good. I'll admit
Yeah.
that. Um, and like I said, you've got this closed quarters area that you don't know what's lurking around the corner. And I thought that was actually a very nice aspect of the movie. And of course,
hmm
you got aliens, you've got the predator, and it's like, wow. so it had so many great things. Real quick before I get to you, Kill, I'll just check the chat here. Let's see what we got. Eric says Paul W.S. Anderson really likes to cut Colin Salmon into little cubes, doesn't he? Between
Yeah,
this
he
and the
does.
first Resident Evil movie. Yeah, it's true. Godfather says she was a very strong protagonist, decent story and effects that still pop today. The alien effects took it to another level. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree with everything in that statement.
Yeah. Biffer says, I clearly remember and probably always will the first thought that came to my mind after I had watched this. No. So you're not a fan of it, I take it, Biffer. Kewen says, I liked how the Predators looked heavy, if that makes sense. Strong, beefy, like warriors.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. They were some beefy boys.
Right.
And
Yeah, they were.
Biffer says it was followed by a deep sigh and a bit of binge drinking.
Aw.
He says, bad story, bad humans. Aliens and predators are made less powerful and less cool. Why would predators ever hunt humans if they already created aliens to hunt? Well, I mean, I think it was more so because the humans were just there,
Yeah.
and I think that predator, and I could be mistaken. I'll just throw that out first, but I think it was more so that once those weapons were picked up, because you saw the scene where as soon as the weapons were picked up, it was like a trigger of an alarm, and
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
it was fighting time for the predators. Now, whether or not that makes total sense, again, the weird thing about this movie is it was trying to draw upon three mythologies: the Alien franchise, the Predator franchise, and the comic book. So, that being said, and I'm not saying it's an excuse, but I'm just saying when you're drawing from three different things, I mean, the fact that it made any sense at all, even if it was just a regular versus movie with just two mythologies, like I said, if it makes any sense at all, that's a pretty phenomenal thing. But, like I said, and you said it best, Kill, I mean, the humans, they weren't, in general, they weren't that great or deep like in the first two Alien movies or the first two Predator movies. So I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah.
But I think that for what this movie was doing, as far as having aliens and predators fighting in one setting, I think it worked out pretty good. Or I'll put it to you this way: I couldn't think of a better way to do it, and I'm sure there might be, but. And again, a lot of people were trying to work on this script. So that's the other thing that was interesting. A lot of people were trying to work on this. So, and Paul W. Anderson was one of the few that kind of came to the forefront. But Kill, I'll throw it to you. Once they're deep into the fighting, what were you thinking about what was going on as far as, again, these aliens being hunted by the predators?
Well, it's funny. Like the humans are in here, but they're kind of just a means to an end. They're hunting the humans to get their pulse, shoulder cannons back.
Right.
That's essentially the only reason the predators are going after them because, and if you notice, they even show it in a way where the predators are walking, and then when the pyramid turns into escape room and stuff starts changing and whatnot, they start hauling ass, and there's some beefy boys. They're like, John, what happened? Oh man, they started the game already. All right, let's get to the field. Like, okay. And then they're scanning book bags. Okay, he's got my shoulder cannon. Bobby, he's got yours. All right, let's go kill him and take our shit back. And essentially that's what they do. And while they're doing that, the aliens are doing what the aliens do. Just kill everything in sight, because that's all they do. And it's really cool in this movie to see an alien also hunt something like a predator. And some of them beefy boys get taken out pretty quick, like by the aliens. I'm like, okay, now it's just one of them left, and they're sneaky. And I love some of the well, I guess the only predator that survived, how
Scar.
He killed some of them. Yeah, Scar. He's just chilling. He's like, oh wait, I know you're there. Just like, and that was a cool gore effect.
Yes. I agree.
and you have Scar, and then you have the alien, I guess the the bag, one that had the indentations on his skull piece to identify like, oh, okay, he was a pretty badass one, and this and that. But once again, the humans are just there to kind of be, meat for the grinder, and essentially we all know. I guess the one cheesy scene, I will say, it's cheesy, but also we know the predators have honor, especially if you kill something or save them. When the predator makes the weapons for annihilate them, some people could be like, okay, that's kind of cheesy, right? But yeah, I know, Coriander. But we also know that, hey, they gave Danny Glover a pistol. And we've seen it, time and time again, where they're like, okay, respect, you're okay. And he marked her, and she was like, okay, all right, I guess, enemy of my enemy is my friend. Yeah, and let's go fight the T-Rex mama and get out of here. Yeah.
Right? Right. Absolutely. Real quick in the chat, Eric says, why would predators hunt humans? Look at the humans in the original Predator, perfect prey for sport. And these predators may seem less powerful because remember the backstory. These predators are being trained to become part of the tribe, to be deemed worthy. Yeah, that's a good point too. Right. They were in training. Drake is in the chat saying they didn't feel humans were challenged enough, so they decided on aliens, and also the engineers created the aliens. Yes, yes. Eric says, I love when Scar snaps the chestburster's neck with a simple flick of his thumb. Yes. That was a good one.
And that was a bummer too with this movie. The whole chest bursting scene, it's like, come on, you need the gore there, and they didn't even deliver that. The creature gore was good, but the whole
good
chest
point. I was going to mention that too, is that this is the first film in either franchise, the first in either franchise to be PG-13. So that was definitely a tactic used by Fox to try to make it more mainstream movie so that more people could see it. And I do think that was a mistake. If you look at the two Predator movies, you look at the 4 Alien movies, they were all rated R. And what they did, and Paul W.S. Anderson tried to do, I guess, the best that he could do with it, because they had to cut things, and so a lot of those kills they would cut away right at that point of the kill, and you'd see maybe a blood splatter or this or that. You didn't have to worry as much with the alien and the predator, because the predator has green blood and the alien has acid, so they're all set. That's why they got fucked up so bad. But with the human stuff, they definitely cut away a lot. And I think that was a mistake, the PG-13. They may not have made as much money if they went, but I think it would have been, I don't know, I think it would have been more respected down the line. The movie did make a hell of a lot of money, though, because it had a $60 million budget, and it had a $177 million box office. So it made a hell of a lot of money, and of course, we know that it led to a VPR, and we'll be talking about that. But so yeah, again, ups and downs, man. Qwin said that it wasn't cheesy. It was respect the warrior's way. Yeah, I mean, I think that's the upside of it. Yeah, absolutely.
But what I found was kind of cheesy was just how easy, it just happened. You know what I mean? It just, I don't know.
Well, I agree with you.
What happened?
Their bond, their friendship. Well, but I think it also was a friendship out of necessity. His other two homeboys were gone, and all of the humans are dead except for her. So they're like the only two, and she's like, "Hey, I'm coming with you." She did the smart thing. She was like, "Hey, buddy, excuse me, tap tap, I'm coming with you." And he's like, "Leave me alone, human. Leave me alone." She's like, "Nope. You're the only thing that's gonna keep me alive. I'm coming with you." And he's like, "All right, damn. All right, well, if you're gonna come with me, man, let me rip this alien's skull off because
Yeah.
oh
Give you a
look,
weapon.
the acid don't mess with it. Okay, if you're gonna come with me, I'm gonna
Right.
use your ass too. So
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
was fast, but it was in this like a symbiotic kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah,
Real
I
quick in the
guess.
chat, remember, rated R doesn't necessarily make a movie better. Look at AVP, Requiem, but that's a story for another episode. No, I don't think that it makes the movie better, but I do think that when you're watching these movies, and Eric, I know you love these movies and you know what I'm saying. The gore, I mean, that's a fantastic part of it, and not just because, oh, well, at least for me, not just because I'm watching it saying, oh, I want to see guts all over the place and this and that, but what I'm talking about is just the rhythm of how things happen. If you look at especially the first two Alien, even the first, well, actually all four Alien movies, the gore aspects of it were just so visceral that it
Yeah, makes
amplified
it
the
believe
horror.
exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. It
yeah,
makes you
you know what I
think
mean?
that this shit's happening. This thing is
Yeah,
bursting out of someone's chest and it's making all this
yes,
friggin' mess because that's what's supposed to
yeah.
happen.
Right. When you see that chest burst for the first time and you see Veronica Cartwright, who like that, and she's, of course, that was her real reaction because Ridley faked them out and they didn't know exactly what was going to happen in that scene. But it's moments like that that really land with you and stay with you for a long time. So I'm not saying that automatically, if it was rated R, that those extra cuts that they made would have made it better, but I am saying that I think it could have given it a little bit more of a a realistic feel, more organic feel. And really, Fox only did it to try to make more money, which it worked out for this movie, but then look where it led to. So
Mm.
again, again, hindsight 2020, who knows, but I'm just saying, when I look at the first two Predator movies and even all four Alien movies, the gore in those movies I thought was fantastic, and it was something that
Yeah.
stays with me for a long time. So that's how I look at it. But we got Frank. Frank's in the chat saying, "Sup, fam? What's going on,
Hey.
Frank? How you doing,
Hey.
man?" The Godfather says, "I do agree with Knight on the PG-13 rating, which is totally useless on these films. How can you have an Alien or Predator movie without a lot of gore? I actually saw this in the theater." Yeah, I did too, man. Frank says it was as good a story as it could be without Arnie and Ripley. Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
bringing them together was something. Eric says also this movie made Lance Henriksen the second man to be killed by an alien, Predator, and a Terminator after the great Bill Paxton. That's right, man. You are right. We got Death Central. Death Central's in the chat. What's going on, man? Check out Death Central. Very awesome channel, man. Saying those movies were fun, even if some stuff were badly executed. I will always
Yeah.
be in for versus horror movies. I hear you, man. I hear you. And again, it's the concept is so fun. When I went to go see this in the theater, I was just so excited. The theater was very excited as things were happening. So it's a fun concept. But as we get to the end of this kill, the finale of it, obviously you knew that the Queen alien was going to have something to do in this. What were you thinking about the final confrontation with Sanaa Lathan, Scar, and the Queen alien?
I was wondering, is Sanaa Lathan going to get an exosuit? Because she going to need something. Instead of just an alien head shield and a spear, an alien
Right.
tail spear. Yeah, I mean, and someone said it in the chat earlier. It was really awesome to see the special effect for the alien queen being 100% mobile, doing her T-Rex
Yes.
thing, and chasing
Yes.
after them because she is hauling ass through that pyramid
Yeah.
to kill them, and she is pissed.
Yes.
And I don't
Yeah.
blame her because she's been thawed out. She's like the Winter Soldier under the pyramid. They just thaw her out and to do a job, and then they freeze her again. That's not right. Treat her like a
Right.
lady. She's a queen. But yeah, and she's pissed off, and
Right.
and pretty much the final confrontation. Once again, it showed the Predator did need Sanaa Lathan, and Sanaa needed that Predator
Yes.
because
Yes.
they the way they actually did it in tandem for the final kind of pulling her into the icy, water and so forth. That was very smart. And that's really the only way they could have beat her, especially without an exosuit,
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
How about you, Coriander? What did you think of the finale between the three of them?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't bad, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It, yeah, it it was, yeah, I don't know. Like I said, it was funny because I was even thinking like, oh, they're just leaving her, but then I realized that she did have a vehicle there, and they did make her like part of their tribe, which was cool. She's
Mm-hmm.
accepted, that if she's ever run into another predator, she's gonna be good. But
Right.
I just like I said, I mean, it had some cheesy moments, and I thought the ending was still kind of cheesy, but hey, whatever, it fit. So
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Real quick too in the chat before we get ready to head on out. Let's see. Drake says, I'm sure this is unpopular, but Prometheus and Covenant are better movies, in my opinion. They give good explanation to the creation of the aliens and where they came from. Yeah, and we're definitely, and obviously for people that are new to the channel, we're going to definitely get to Prometheus and Covenant. We touched upon them back in the day, and it's going to be fun to touch upon them. But I think Prometheus and Covenant, again, it had a different rhythm because obviously Ridley is a very specific visionary type of director, so he gives you that Ridley gloss on the movie. Not to say that they're perfect because they're not, but I do agree that they were good films in their own ways, not perfect but good in their own ways, and it's going to be interesting to get to those films. Death Central saying, laugh out loud, she's a queen. Yep. Eric saying, I love Scar getting impaled. Nice callback to Bishop in Aliens. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a nice callback once the Queen Alien goes into the watery abyss and she's going all the way back, and you can see the air bubbles kind of coming up, and it almost looked like she was in space, just like in the original movie when the alien was thrown out of the airlock. I thought that was kind of, that had to have been on purpose because it looked very similar, Frank says, I always felt like it would have been better if there were less humans. Let the tension between the two monsters do the work. Yeah, I think so too, because, the truth of this is, as much as I like the beginning of the movie and all the setup and the prep and the planning, they probably could have lost half the humans, and I know I get it. They need a certain amount of people to, like with the drilling team, you're not going to have just two people doing this drilling. It's a whole crew. So you're going to have multiple people. You got to annihilate them. You got the biologist, you got the geologist, you got Lance Henriksen, you got his bodyguards, so just the setup of the movie called for a lot of humans. But I agree, if there was less humans, then maybe more time could have been spent on them because they're not going to be in the movie very long anyways. So maybe you could have gotten closer to them in their few moments. But again, you're juggling so much. It's really interesting stuff. Eric saying, at least this had better humans than Freddy versus Jason did. You got to give it that. Yeah. Good call, Eric. Good call. Very good call. And as we end out on this, now we're going to be talking about AVPR in our next episode, but I just wanted to throw this to? Out. Yeah, we do. Because we're doing the whole franchise, brother. We do. And you guys saw the stinger at the end, with the chest burster coming out of the Predator, which I thought was a cool little thing. It doesn't end up being very cool afterwards, but at least in this moment, there was
hope.
A bright spot. There was hope. So anyways, for you guys in the chat, first of all, before we end out, definitely please give us a like on the video. That'd be great to support the channel. And also, if you could, please leave us a comment in the comment section, because this is a very hot topic. Let us know what you think of AVP. What's the good stuff? What's the bad stuff? What's the stuff in between? How do you compare AVP with the 4 Alien movies before it? How do you rank AVP with the 2 Predator movies before it? we'd love to talk about it because we're definitely going to be getting into dark territory next week with AVPR. And then hopefully we'll come out of the darkness when we get into Predators. So just teasing that. Real quick in the chat before we go. Drake says, it was cool hanging with you guys. Sorry I caught you late, but I'll catch you next time. Have a nice night. Night watch, Coriander Killian. Thank you so much, Drake. We
Thank you.
appreciate it. Nice to have you even for a little bit, man. That's very cool. Death Central saying, get the flashlights for this one. Dark territory, man. Qwin says, I liked AVP too. It was brutal as hell. It was very brutal. I will give it that. It definitely had some brutal kills. That's what I'll give it. And it's going to be an interesting conversation for next week. It's going to be very good. Eric says AVPR has some good moments. Very, very few good moments, but they're there if you look hard enough. And you know what, Eric? And I don't want to go too deep into it, but that's the thing that was frustrating, is that it did have some interesting things going on. And when we talked about this back in the day, we touched upon a few of those things. So for you guys, just to let you know, next week we're going to be talking about AVPR. So please join us. It's going to be a fun conversation. We're trying to see where this whole thing is going to end up. And it's been fun going through these Predator movies so far. And obviously we're going to keep on going till we get to the end. And then we're going to be recovering with the Alien franchise after that. So anyways, guys, we will catch you guys later. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. If you're watching this, if you're listening to this, you are the Night Watch. Peace out, guys.
Peace.